Shalom, shalom. This is Elder Stephen, and I have a class for you tonight. The class is about the oath. The class is going to go into a little bit about how the Israelites were not the only ones to take the oath. If you've been following this series, you should know by now that primarily we were sent to teach the Gentiles. The Gentiles are very special to the Most High. And the Most High commanded the Israelites, whom he gave the law to teach every creature. And the Israelites didn't do that. And the Israelites were punished for not doing that. So now we get to the end. It's not hard to see all of the different signs of things coming to pass in the Bible. So the time has come where the Israelites have to ensure that all people are trained on Christ's doctrine. And that's what we teach here at Elders of Israel. This video is primarily geared toward the Gentiles. However, anyone can listen. Israelites can listen as well. But the things that we're focusing on what the Gentiles have to know. The Most High extended his hands out to the Israelites. He's had his hands extended to the Israelites for thousands of years. Primarily, the Israelites have rejected the Most High. And so we move to the Gentiles. So we're going to go ahead and get started. We're going to focus on this oath and how the Most High views oaths and what he does once an oath is taken, how seriously he takes that oath. All right. So get your notepads, your pens, and your Bibles, apocryphas, and follow along. And we're going to try and be as concise as we can so that you have the precepts to show that what the Bible is saying can be backed up with the precepts. So write them down. All right. Now, it's important that you think spiritual, because a lot of the stuff that we're going to be talking about, you're not going to be able to see it in a carnal sense. You have to be willing to open your mind up and think spiritual. Christ's doctrine was a spiritual doctrine. Every time he answered a question, he answered in the spiritual form. That's the covenant, the spiritual covenant. We are no longer under Moses' law, no longer under his covenant. We're under the covenant of Christ. His covenant is spiritual. So if you open your mind and look at the precepts, the spiritual precepts will guide you to the truth. The carnal precepts is what is used to confuse the people, to have people believing in fairy tales and all of these old wives' tales and such. And it's used in order to give power to the people who are controlling Israel right now, which they don't represent the Most High. But if you open your mind, think spiritual, you'll get it. Then that way you'll be able to change, because our job is to teach you so that you can kill the old man, because the Gentiles are very special to the Most High. And some of the things that we're going to learn from this class, you're going to see just how special he considers the Gentiles. So let's get started. Okay, so now that you know that the spiritual law that Christ left us is for all men, we want to focus on the oath that the mixed multitude made in Deuteronomy 29, and we're going to start at verse 10. So let's get Deuteronomy 29, verse 10. Remember, think spiritual. Ye stand this day, all of you, before the Lord your God, your captains of your tribes, your elders, and your officers, with all the men of Israel, your little ones, your wives, and thy stranger. The stranger are the Gentiles. Those are the people that was in that mixed multitude that ran up out of Egypt with the Israelites. The Most High is specifically including the stranger. Now watch what he says. Remember this part. Your little ones, your wives, and thy stranger that is in thy camp, from the hewer of thy wood unto the drawer of thy water. Hewer of thy wood and drawer of thy water means something very special spiritually. We're going to get to it, but remember that particular verse. Verse 12, that thou shouldest enter into covenant with the Lord thy God, and into his oath, which the Lord thy God maketh with thee this day. That verse just said that all of the people mentioned above, he mentioned the captains of the tribes, the elders, officers, the men of Israel, your little ones, your wives, and the strangers. So verse 12 is speaking about all of those people. They are the context. Let's read it again. That thou shouldest enter into covenant with the Lord thy God, and into his oath, which the Lord thy God maketh with thee this day. That's saying that the strangers, the Gentiles who were in the wilderness with Israel, took the oath as well as the Israelites. That's what that's saying. I don't care what anyone says. That says that everybody who was in the wilderness took the oath. The Most High made Moses put that in there because he knew one day somebody was going to tell a lie and say, that ain't talking about those strangers. It's talking about the northern kingdom. That's talking about the strangers, the mixed multitudes. All right. Verse 13, that he may establish thee today for a people unto himself. So he's saying those strangers are his people too. And that he may be unto thee a God, as he has said unto thee, and as he has sworn unto thy fathers, to Abraham, Isaac, and to Jacob. The thing is, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob were teachers. Spiritually, some of the stories that's written in the Bible, they're written spiritually, and you don't know what they mean. Whenever it's talking about Abraham and those wells, that's water. Ephesians 5:26. The water is the word. He was a teacher. He was a preacher. He was a prophet. That's what Abraham was doing. So was Isaac. All of our forefathers, they were creating converts. So the people who they were teaching were being circumcised. He was converting them. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob were converting all the people to the law of the Most High. That's what they were doing. All right. So if that'll be brought up in a further class, if you pay attention, you'll be able to see what we're talking about. But it's important that you understand that when it's saying your forefathers, it's Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. It's talking carnally, the descendants of Israel. That's their forefathers. But the converts that they created, they're also their forefathers spiritually. I hope y'all see that. Okay. So now, whenever that came out, he said he was going to make this day that he may establish thee today for a people unto himself. Now, while back, whenever I first learned about the truth, I was taught that your people are your brother, are the children of your nation, right? Primarily meaning only Israelites would be my brothers. But that just said something else. Whenever I was taught, they would go to Leviticus 19, right? This is what they would do. They'd say, Leviticus 19:17, thou shalt not hate thy brother in thine heart. This is a scripture that was used primarily to justify racism and hating your brother. Thou shalt, verse 17, Leviticus 19:17, thou shalt not hate thy brother in thine heart. Thou shalt in any wise rebuke thy neighbor and not suffer sin upon him. So it's saying you're not supposed to hate your brother or your neighbor. You're supposed to correct your neighbor. Thou shalt not avenge nor bear any grudge against the children of thy people, but thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. I am the Lord. So those two verses was used to justify that your neighbor are the children of thy people. The children of thy people. That precepts now to Deuteronomy 29:13. Because the Most High said that he may establish thee today for a people unto himself. The strangers who convert and begin to keep the spiritual law that Christ left us are his people, regardless of what race they are. They are his people. The brother of your people is everyone who converts. Y'all see that? That he may establish thee today for a people unto himself. He's talking about everybody he mentioned above, to include the strangers. And that he may be unto thee a God. He's going to be the God of anyone who picks up that covenant. As he has said unto thee, and as he has sworn unto thy fathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob had a spiritual seed. Their spiritual seed is the people who they taught. They taught the law to everybody. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. They are your forefathers as well. Neither with you only do I make this covenant and this oath. But him that standeth here with us this day before the Lord our God, and also him that is not here with us this day. That's you. You see that? You the descendants of those people in that mixed multitude. No, you wasn't there physically. But he said he gonna make that oath with you too. For ye know how we have dwelt in the land of Egypt, and how we came through the nations which ye passed by. And ye have seen their abominations and their idols, wood and stone, silver and gold, which were among them. Lest there should be among you man or woman, or family, or tribe, whose heart turneth away this day from the Lord our God, to go and serve the gods of these nations. You know, serving the gods of nations. The God of a nation, there's physical nations, countries, and such. But there's also spiritual nations. Spiritual nations are congregations. The gods of those spiritual nations are the leaders. Spiritually. Remember, you have to put your spiritual thinking caps on in order to understand what the Most High is saying. If you believe, because you were taught carnally, that a nation is a physical country that's got a leader who's a president, czar, prime minister, foreign minister, whatever, monarch, king, queen, whatever. If you think that that's a nation, you are mistaken spiritually, because this whole Bible is spiritual. The spiritual nations are the congregations. Remember that. All right. So it says, verse 18, lest there should be among you man or woman or family or tribe whose heart turneth away this day from the Lord our God, to go and serve the gods of these nations. That's a warning, right? Lest there should be among you a root that beareth gall and wormwood. Gall and wormwood. When you speak of wood, it's talking about men. Okay. I see men walking I see men as trees walking. All right. So when it's talking about wood, right, it's talking about men. All right. So worms infest wood, right? A lot of times that wood is a teacher, right? If that wood is infested with worms, that means whatever it's teaching is abominable. It's infested. All right. It's abominable. So it's talking about the day coming where teachers are going to come that's going to be infested with foul and vile doctrines, like only the Israelites can get the kingdom. So he's warning you, right? And it come to pass, when he heareth the words of this curse, that he bless himself in his heart, saying, I shall have peace, though I walk in the imagination of mine heart, to add drunkenness to thirst. So he's walking in the imagination of his own heart. He's making up a belief system when he says, oh, something like the Gentiles can't get the kingdom. Only the Israelites can get the kingdom. And so it says also that to add drunkenness to thirst. When it's talking about thirst, the people thirst for the water. The water is the word. Ephesians 5:26. The water is the word. But whenever the Most High, when he speaks of doctrines, he uses liquids, right? Whether he says milk, whether he says water, whether he says wine, it's a doctrine, It's a certain doctrine. When it's talking about wine, wine is lies. Okay. When somebody gets you drunk on wine or strong drink, it's talking about you following a doctrine that's got you drunk. The Most High say you have to be sober, so you got to follow Christ's example. You can't get drunk on somebody else's doctrine. If you believe that after we read, the Most High says he making an oath with the Gentiles, but you believe that he's not going to honor that oath, well, you drunk. You drunk on somebody's doctrine who's telling you that the Most High ain't going to keep his oath. That's a lie. So that's what people get drunk on. They get drunk on lies. They believe lies. All right. So now, verse 20, the Lord will not spare him, the person that's telling those lies. But then the anger of the Lord and his jealousy shall smoke against that man, and all the curses that are written in this book shall lie upon him, and the Lord shall blot out his name from under heaven. The people who are teaching that lie, that the Gentiles are not going to get the kingdom, the scriptures say they're going to be blotted out of the book. I mean, they're not getting the kingdom. If you want to believe those lies and you want to hate your brother, when we just read in Leviticus 19 that you're supposed to love your brother and not suffer sin upon him, meaning you're supposed to teach your brother. That's our job, is to teach our brothers. Our brothers are of all nationalities. Every creature must learn this law. The ones that convert, they will be redeemed. The ones that don't, they'll get the judgment. That's just the way it is. So you have to make a choice within yourself whether or not you want to convert to what the Most High said do, or whether or not you want to follow the example of the person that's teaching you. All right. But it's important that you remember that part that we read earlier in verse 11. From the hewer of thy wood unto the drawer of thy water. Because if you was to read that in a carnal sense, you'd say that's talking about slaves. So maybe some people are going to be slaves in the kingdom. Maybe so, maybe no. We'll get to it. The Most High is very specific on including the Gentiles in his salvation. The error comes when men use the carnal understanding to exclude the Gentiles because of their own hatred and prejudice. The Most High kills prophets who lie. And we're going to read a couple of examples of it. He kills prophets who lie and profess he gave them a prophecy that is untrue. Lying to the people causes the people to believe in lies. If the people follow the lies, they have blemish and cannot be presented to the Most High as a burnt offering by the prophet who is teaching them. The Most High rejects blemished offerings. You're going to learn when you start understanding spiritually all of that stuff about sacrificing those animals. That's a similitude. The animals are people. The Most High only used those animals, sacrificing those animals, as an example of what you're going to have to do. All right? So, the prophet's job is to teach those people to sacrifice that old man. That's what we're supposed to teach you. Then after you kill the old man and start converting and following the spiritual understanding and example that Christ left us, then you can be presented to the Most High without blemish. Blemish is sin. There's a lot of stuff that people are doing now that's sin that they think is the law because they're doing Moses' law. We are no longer under Moses' law. We have to do the spiritual understanding of the law that Christ gave us. All right? What's important for you to know, the Gentiles will be saved if they take the oath. If you make an oath with the Most High, He's going to honor it. He doesn't care what your color is. He cares whether or not you obey what He told us. He told us through His word. His word is His example. That's Christ. In John 1, He's telling you that Christ is the word. That's who we're supposed to follow. He showed you again in the transfiguration. He said they saw Moses and they saw Elijah. They wanted to set up 3 tabernacles. The voice said, follow him, because he's the example. Don't follow Moses' law. Don't follow the prophets' law. He made the prophets write the book 2 ways. They wrote it carnally. Once Christ died, you could now see what it meant spiritually because He explained it. But there's no power for a man spiritually, because if you understand the law spiritually, I can't be your Lord, because only you can save you. Let's go to Ezekiel 14:14 so that I can let you know that. What I'm teaching you what Christ said. You need to be independent from all of those prophets that's telling you lies. The only one that can save you is you. We're going to Ezekiel 14:14. He's very clear. Though these 3 men, Noah, Daniel, and Job, those are superheroes in the Bible. Righteous men, righteous prophets. But he says, though these 3 men, Noah, Daniel, and Job, were in it, they should deliver but their own souls by their righteousness, says the Lord. No man can save you. Only you can save you. That's it. Only you. All right? So, the scriptures were written 2 ways. They were written carnally, which gave men power over the people, because the people had to do physical things in order to get salvation. But this is different. You're your own advocate. You have to do it yourself spiritually. But whenever we switched to the spiritual side, that took away the power from those men, those teachers, those unrighteous preachers. All right? So we're going to get into an example of how the Most High deals with prophets when they don't tell the truth.